Sergeant Brumfield, what was your reaction when you learnt you'd been awarded the British Empire Medal?
Oh, very surprised. It came to me as a telephone message for this morning from a friend of the family who rang me at about 20 to 8 and told me that they'd heard something on the news which is something that I didn't know about, and in fact it was some time before I found out. I eventually rang my commanding officer at Williamtown and to get some confirmation of whether it was right or wrong before I'd say yes or no to several people that had rang previously. But it was a big surprise. I really didn't expect it at all.
I believe you were awarded the medal for contributions to Air Force training. In what way have you done this?
Well, this could only have been when I was with 34 Squadron in Canberra, the VIP squadron, where I used to train stewards and stewardesses for the role of flight stewards and stewardesses for our VIP aircraft.
Have you had any interesting experiences on the VIP aircraft?
Yes, one that came as a bit of a surprise in a way, and after a bit of a fatality to one of the boys I worked with. He fell out of an aircraft in February, which destroyed his possibilities of being the chief steward to the Queen while on her bicentenary tour of Australia. And then this put me in the spot where I had to take over from him. It wasn't easy, but we got through it, so it was about the basic thing that we set out to do.
Was that your first royal tour?
No, that was the 6th that I had done in 6¼ years, so there's not too many of the royal family I haven't met or come in contact with.
Mr. Weiss, what made you decide to come to Australia to compete in the National Catamaran Championships?
Well, it was a direct result of one of your local surgeons, Dr. Peter Blaxland, who lives in Sydney. I met him in Copenhagen last June, and we were attending the European Championships there for B-class catamarans, the Tornadoes. And he thought that it would be a splendid idea, since we were halfway from Copenhagen to Australia, being in Honolulu, that we come on down and participate in the Australian Championships.
How did your boat go?
Well, it went quite well the first couple of days. We, of course, weren't familiar with the rigging, and we were moving up very well in the race. That we had a structural failure. One of the hulls split open, and we attempted to make some repairs, so we had to drop out 2 days early, so we'll be unable to compete in the remaining races. So we decided that we'd take some time off early and get into the airplane and go north.
Apart from flying planes and sailing catamarans, what do you do in Honolulu?
Well, I'm really very busy in broadcasting. I have a radio station, a commercial radio station in Honolulu. It's primarily a music station of Manavani, Frank Chacksfield. We call it Good Music. And we play this as a specialty with, of course, local news reports.
Do you find our radio stations much different than yours?
I find that they're more, shall we say, broad in their appeal to audiences. The We have 16 stations in Honolulu, each one of which goes into a very specialized type of music. Whereas when you only have 5 stations in Sydney covering 2 million people, you must play a little bit broader spectrum. So the difference is that we specialize a little bit more than you do.
the first time, an Ecuadorian merchant ship, the Islas Galapagos, has visited Australia. Our guests tonight are the captain of the ship, Captain Ayala, and its chief engineer, Mr. Lopez. Is there any chance of much further trade developing between your country and Australia?
Well, I think that we can start it now. I am very happy that he's the first captain that bring an Ecuadorian ship, bring my flag to this big and great country. And I hope and I want that in the future another Ecuadorian ships come into this country.
Mr. Lopez, was it a good trip across the Pacific for you?
Well, it was a very nice and good trip. Weather was very good and everything was very right.
What cargo were you carrying across here?
We bring general cargo from east coast of the United States, and we are loaded now, frozen meat from Australia to same place.
So you're on charter from another company, are you?
Yes, we are in charter now for maritime freight carrier, but the ship is belong to a Ecuadorian company, Flota Ecuatoriana Bananera.
And how big is the Islas Galapagos?
Well, the ship is 6,600 tons of gross ton and have 461 feet long.
Is there much interest in Ecuador in Australia?
What, please?
Is there much interest in Ecuador in Australia?
Yes, Ecuadorian people is very interested about Australia, and we hope to know better you and you too know better to us, and we want to make some interchanging of everything, and we are ready for starting.
Now, this ship was not quite the first one from Ecuador to visit Australia. The raft, the La Bolsa, was the first, is that right?
Yes, right, but so we say the first merchant ship, but we can say the second flag, but it was the first ship, this little balsa we call. It was the first, and we are the second, but anything we can say the first merchant ship.
Was there much interest in Ecuador in the progress of the La Bolsa?
Yes, there are many people try to talk by radio with these people of the La Balsa, and the government and the Navy of Ecuador are very interested about this trip of the La Balsa.
Now, will there be many more ships from Ecuador coming to Australia, do you think? Many more ships from Ecuador coming to Australia?
I think, yes. I think in the future, yes. I think so. And well, I hope so.
We hope so. And all depend if Australia and Ecuador governors making an agree to interchange merchandise or to be in business, and we will come anytime. And also we hope so to take in Ecuador some Australia ship also.
I believe Newcastle's your last port of call. Where else have you been in Australia?
The last port?
I believe Newcastle is the last port in Australia.
No, we go from Newcastle to Brisbane. Brisbane is our last port.
And when do you leave?
Well, we're supposed to leave between 13 or 15 from Brisbane to East Coast of the United States.
And how long will the trip take you?
Well, across the Pacific, we taken 18 days. And then from Panama Canal to first United States port, maybe 4 days more.
Now, what have you seen of Australia since you've been here?
Well, I think many interesting things. I go to some zoological park in Melbourne, and last Sunday I can see the beautiful Bay of Sydney. It's a beautiful city, and I like many things from Australia.
And what most impressed you about Australia?
Well, I see the Australia is a country that is growing up, and I am interested, and my best impression about the people is very nice people, very friendly and very kind.
Our guests tonight have been the captain and chief engineer of the first Ecuadorian merchant ship to visit Australia, the Islas Galapagos.